So you probably clicked on this video because you're curious to know what architecture school is going to be about. Hi everyone, my name is Irene and I'm a recent graduate from architecture school. I studied architecture in Universidad Iberoamericana in Mexico City. If you're either curious to know what architecture is going to be about, or you're just trying to raise awareness, what are you going to get yourself to, or you're just deciding which career you want to take, I'm going to make this video to talk about my experience in that school. Of course, disclaimer, not all schools are the same. I'm just talking about my experience, but I believe that what I'm going to say could be a little, perhaps 80% relatable to some schools. Perhaps this can give you a little insight. So I had the opportunity to study at this college. I just chose architecture because I thought I was good at doing craft, which I am not that good with doing crafts. So the first criteria I had to choose architecture was, oh, I'm really good at doing crafts. And yes, if you're good, that's excellent, but architecture is not about only doing models. In the first semesters, you start with introduction in architecture. You will see history throughout your whole career. Since the humankind grabbed 3 objects, 2 columns and something to put on top to cover himself, that's how architecture started. And we have the natural architecture, which is a cave. Until nowadays, that we are in 2023-4, we still have a lot of architecture. So you will start getting an introduction about drawing, about modeling. It all involves with your hands, learning how a floor plan is drawn, sections, details, everything that involves drawings with your hands. You will also start with little small projects, perhaps little houses or like little buildings or little community centers, just really tiny projects. That's like the first part. Then you have a middle part. Of course, it depends on the study plan of the college, but in general, in the middle part of the career, you start getting introduced to CAD design, which is computer-aided architecture. That is where you learn how to use AutoCAD, Revit, Rhinoceros, perhaps Grasshopper, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, technological software tools that can make design much more easier. Project starts to become a little bigger and you start creating shopping centers, apartment buildings, or mixed-use buildings like shopping centers mixed with departments, hospitals, community centers, museums. It all depends. So in the first semesters, you start with the concept and the creative ideas and the shape and everything that it's all involved in design. And then in the middle part is where you start to get introduced more in depth of the skeleton of how your building is going to keep standing, how your building will survive whether earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, all of those nature things happening. You will start to learn about a little bit of civil engineer, what's a beam, what's a column, to start getting a criteria, everything that involves to calculate the width of your column, the size of your beam, what will be the structural design inside your amazing concept, amazing design of a building. You will also start to get an introduction about piping, plumbing, about the drain, about how you will send water into your bathrooms, where to locate your bathrooms, whether you will have a full column of piping and plumbing in the same area, a little bit of introduction of AC, all of those more technical components which are absolutely essential. The last part, it will be like, okay, you know how to decide. You have a little criteria about the structure and piping and plumbing, MEP systems, and then it goes like you have bigger project. You will also get an introduction and more analysis about cost efficiency, what sorts of materials are better, perhaps for the environment or for the costs, how to treat clients. It all comes to presenting a more full project to your client. And this is the part where you are in charge to know how everything is going to be, what sorts of machinery you will need for your foundation, what sorts of perhaps licenses for construction, the laws you have to respect regarding the context, regarding the site that you will be building, a lot more in-depth into more technical, social, political requirements to start building. But yeah, architecture is an amazing career of design, but it also involves structural systems, MEP systems, financial advice, financial strategies, law knowledge, all of the documents you need to have all of your people working on site, security systems, social security. It's a big world, but of course you will be learning it through the process. Also, architecture will teach you so many things. You will learn from concept design, where they're super simple, your idea flowing. You will also learn graphic design, because you will be also creating presentation boards to present your project to the public. You will learn a lot of psychological design about colors, materials, size of spaces affect humankind inside of a space, interior design, of course, creating really nice, lovely places from the inside. You'll also learn furniture design, finances. You will learn about civil engineering. I don't want to say that you will be a civil engineer, but it will give you a little bit of criteria about how to make a decision of design and structure, merging them together and have a successful project. You will also learn about working in teams. Throughout my whole career, I worked in teams. It will teach you to be patient, to be tolerant, and to treat people, any sort of people, whether it's a very nice person, a very complicated person, or a lazy person. It will make you build character in order how to treat people. It will also teach you how to present your projects, how to put yourself out there into the world in front of clients, how to professors will always be guiding you whether you should say these, or you're talking too much, or you're using so many thinking words, or like urban language that might not be ideal. You will also learn to deal with different sorts of people, from teachers, any kind of teachers, really cool teachers, very rude teachers, the ones that destroy your models, really inspiring teachers, lots of kind of people. I also want to address, a lot of people say like, oh, I'm not really good at math, perhaps I should not study architecture. Well, basically what the sort of math that you will need through the career is just the basic, like additions, multiplications, divisions, subtractions. Professors will teach you like formulas to calculate the resistance of steel and how concrete behave with compression, but trust me, you don't have to worry about like you have to be super good at math. I wasn't super good at math and I made it. You know, the cool thing about architecture is that you can choose whether you can start focusing on models or plans and drawings freehand, or computer-aided architecture. I did my thesis project using Grasshopper, 3D printing, and lots of Photoshop, Illustrator. I really enjoy using software tools. I wasn't too good at doing models, physical models. I tried to avoid them at any cost. I was the one doing the renderings and the Photoshop and the plans and everything. So I've also heard a lot of people saying like, oh, I suck at drawing. I sucked at drawing too, and I learned to draw throughout my whole career. So trust me, really like the idea of designing buildings and like designing urban landscape, structures. You like houses, you like buildings, you like even historical buildings. You're curious about how they still standing nowadays. Trust me, architecture is good for you. Architecture has so many areas where you can just focus after you finish your career. It could be landscape, it could be structure, it could be design, only design, it could be computer-aided architecture, 3D printing, costs analysis, interior design. Everything good has little consequences. Just want to address, it's a high demanding career. Your social life is not going to be that good because you will be working in your homework, your projects, teamwork. A lot of people talk about not sleeping at all. In my opinion, I love sleeping. I cannot function without sleeping, so I try to work throughout the whole day so I can sleep at night. Of course, I didn't have social life. I try to have a balance, but the time that I reached that, I was like so much stress that I need to finish my project in order to have fun. You will experience a lot of stress because things can go wrong. Don't stress in grades. Architecture school is a very subjective career. You might be thinking, I made the best project ever, I will give myself a 10. But some professors, they might say it's meh, it's very subjective. I started architecture knowing just how to draw very simple things. I didn't know anything about structures, about plumbing, about CAD design, nothing. I learned it throughout the whole career, and that's why you study architecture, to learn. I hope this gives you a little insight about the career. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I will be super happy to answer to you. I hope this gives you a little more insight. Architecture is amazing.